is adding another piece going to solve an offense that already is a new look offense? Is it a dangerous addition? Maybe.
Yeah, I think what it means is, it's the dream team on paper. It's a perfect roster.
What's up, Guff? Grown Up Fantasy Football has yet again returned to YouTube, to the podcast. We're here. Joey Marino, Zach Maziarz, James Reiner. The three of us are back, and we are doing something a little bit different today. Today, we are giving our fantasy evaluation of a certain team that may have gotten blown out last week in primetime on Sunday night at home with the GOAT of all GOATs at quarterback. Yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what does a fantasy evaluation, what comes in it? So I'll tell you what comes in it. We're going over each position and giving you our take on each position on that team. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and maybe a little defense in there too. But hey, before we get into this, be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these fantasy evaluations or any fantasy showdowns or anything else we're doing. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps heal Zach after that horrid fantasy loss he had a week or two ago, and it keeps the Guff show afloat.
All right, let's get into it. Bucs, have a seat. Truth be known, I think we're overdue a little heart-to-heart. A rap session, if you will. Maybe a little tough love. Some of you have been a little out of sorts lately. Erratic. Unreliable. Downright sloppy. It is fair to say we are disappointed. Let's get into it. What's wrong with the quarterback position? What is Tom Brady doing?
Tampa Tom is... Zachary... Is Zach okay over here?
Are you crying?
More subscribers.
Are you crying?
This is a Guff first. Zach is crying on air.
That was just beautiful.
Do you need to tap out?
No, let's keep going. I'm good. Just beautiful. Beautifully spoken, James.
Guff gang, if you're watching on the tube, oh man, Zach, you got the tears out? Are the tears gone?
Yeah, we're good.
No more tears.
No more tears, son. Suck up them tears. Oh.
All right, well, James, you asked the question best. What is wrong with the Bucs? And more specifically, what is wrong with Tom Brady? My question is there something wrong with Tom Brady? So far, he's had 2 games of 30 points or more. But he's also had 2 games of less than 10 points. I don't know what's been going on. He's been the quarterback 5. Now, we're recording this episode on Monday. So, Guff Gang, he's probably not the quarterback 5 anymore after that abysmal performance, but he's been terrific. What happened? Zach, do you have an answer?
Well, we saw this a couple weeks ago with the Packers when they played the Bucs, actually, and they got crushed. Aaron Rodgers had a terrible day. and they labeled him a fraud. They said, "Oh, he's not the same Rodgers. The season's over for them. This
charlatan.
is it." They're basically just exactly. They've just been playing it up these couple of weeks, and they were exposed. No, we saw the weeks after that. The Packers lost to the Vikings, but they've won 2 out of those 3. Rodgers had a 27-point performance, a 22-point performance, a 28-point game. I think it's just one of those things. I mean, this is a tough division game. They already had a hard time against the Saints to start. Yes, this is not Tom Brady-esque, but this happens to QBs every now and then. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's because they're a bigger name. We don't say this stuff when it happens to Kirk Cousins almost every single week, or Drew Lock when it happens to him like 5 out of 10 weeks. But yet, when it happens to a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers, the microscope's on them, and we have to make comments about it. He's still going to be good. He's still going to do big things. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl after this? Probably not. But I think he's still going to be a very reliable fantasy quarterback moving forward. James, what do you think?
I completely agree. People are losing their minds, blowing this completely out of proportion. You're allowed one bad game as a quarterback against a good Saints team. I mean, come on. And it was obvious they were just off. It was an off game for everyone involved. And I mean, people are really freaking out about this. I saw a poll on Twitter. Would you trust Jameis Winston to be better for the Bucs going forward for the rest of the season? 65% were in favor of Jameis Winston over Tom Brady. That's crazy to me. People need to take a step back and chill, in my opinion.
Y'all know last year Tom Brady. Oh, sorry, real quick, James or Joey. I just wanted to say last year Tom Brady also played the Saints, and he had a 8-point fantasy game against them. So maybe the Saints are like his kryptonite. Maybe it's just one of those teams where they fully focus in on Tom Brady, and that's just what we're going to get from him. But yeah, that is ridiculous. I'm sorry, Jameis. No.
So with Jameis, you kind of knew you were going to get possibly a ton of yards and probably a ton of picks too. But yeah, I agree. Tom Brady is still a very, very good fantasy option. He had an off day. Rodgers had an off day. People have off days. We're all humans, even though people like to think Tom Brady is a robot. He is, in fact, a human. But, Zach, you said, are they going to win the Super Bowl? I think the bigger question is, are they going to win the division? Because they've just dropped 2 to New Orleans. New Orleans has the lead. They have, I think, similar records. I think they're both either 1 or 2 games apart from each other.
Saints are 1 game ahead now.
Saints are 1 game ahead. So I don't know if Tampa wins the division. Do I think they get the wild card? Most likely. But with Tampa, the games they have coming up, Brady has kind of a rough schedule coming up. He's got Carolina, who's surprisingly pretty good against quarterbacks, the Rams, and Kansas City. But right after that, he has Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, and Atlanta again. So lots of good playoff opportunity for Tampa Tom Brady owners.
Tampa Bay.
I
think I don't know. Now thinking about it in terms of fantasy value, and I want to move on to the wide receivers, actually skip to them because this kind of goes well with them. When you're talking about Jameis Winston or Tom Brady, that brings up an interesting point because now thinking about it, if I had Mike Evans or Chris Godwin on my team, I might actually prefer Jameis Winston over Tom Brady there. Just seeing the seasons that they had and now seeing these wide receivers, which granted they've added more talent with AB and Rob Gronkowski, but we haven't seen it as much from them. So I know everyone's kind of pushing the panic button on Tom Brady right now and on the Bucs as a whole. To me, the wide receivers are actually the ones that I am panicking the most on right now. You know, we see Mike Evans, he's not looking towards him at all. He has actually a target rate of only 16%, which is like number 150 in the league, which is awful. He has 7 touchdown catches, too, which is number 2 in the league. So that basically means that on the very minimal amount of targets he's getting, he is getting a touchdown. So that's going to go away. That can't happen. I think that this wide receiver core is like a big opposite end magnet where they're all running together. And you know when you put like 2 magnets together and they just won't, like you try and it pushes itself away. I think that's this receiving core. Yeah. They're just going together, and then they're, can't do it. And I think AB is the reason why. I think he is the reason the Bucs lost this week. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that. But I think it's too many mouths to feed. I don't think there's going to be good fantasy production from any of these guys moving forward. I think it's going to be one week you might get a great game out of one person, but you didn't know you were. Another week it might be someone else. So it's a toss-up. What do y'all think?
I agree with that a lot, actually. I don't think the problem is the wide receivers aren't talented or Tom Brady can't get them the football. Problem is there's too many of them, and there's only so many points you can score. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, that could be the best wide receiver core in the past 5 years if AB pans out. And AB looked pretty good Sunday night, in my opinion.
Yep.
And then you have to also, Gronk's also in the equation. I mean, and Tom Brady loves throwing to that guy in the end zone, so it's very hard for them all to be consistent fantasy producers in this offense.
I think Gronk is the bigger barrier than AB. AB's only been there for one game. But yes, it is a lot of mouths to feed, but we saw Dallas do it with Amari Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb. When Dak Prescott was healthy, let's caveat that. We saw Dallas do it with Amari Cooper. Even Michael Gallup was getting in on it sometimes. CD, Zeke was hitting that. All of them, all of them were getting work.
There's a problem there, though, Joey. Dallas had no defense whatsoever, so they had to come back every single game, play lights out on offense, just air the ball out. Tampa Bay has the number 2, number 3 defense on the year.
Yeah, but still, I don't think that's the biggest factor, the biggest thing to deter that. Mike Evans, you mentioned it. His target rate is like 16%, right? And he has 7 touchdowns on the season. Is Mike Evans touchdown dependent?
No. I think he's being made to be touchdown dependent right now. I think athletically he is definitely more than just a touchdown dependent wide receiver, but I think...
But in the offense as it exists right now...
Said, yeah.
I think with Jameis Winston, he
touchdown
wasn't.
dependent right now.
No, I think y'all should keep arguing.
I mean...
Joey, this is the last straw. I'm afraid of... Sorry, you can finish your thought, Joey, because I was going to talk about another receiver.
We want to know what you're scared of.
James, you said AB looked very good this past game, which I agree. He actually did look pretty good for being off as long as he has.
He's AB.
And I think he needs a little bit of time to assimilate to the offense. And one great example I can think of is Emmanuel Sanders. So beginning of the season, we saw him with the Saints not looking that great. I think there was actually a quote from him saying Michael Thomas got on to him, was like, dude, what on earth are you doing over here? He ran the wrong route or something the first game of the season. And now we're seeing Emmanuel Sanders do pretty well. He is getting back into this offense. He's figuring it out, and he's a go-to target now for Drew Brees. I think the same thing could happen with Antonio Brown. They say he's catching on quick. I think once he gets the offense fully down, we saw him kind of stop and stutter on one go route, and Tom Brady threw a pick on it. So they're shacking together. Antonio Brown's staying over at Tom Brady's right now. I think they're
that
building
implies
the chemistry.
something, Zach, when you use that word.
Does Tom kiss his son with that mouth?
Sorry, Antonio, this is what we do in my house. You want to sleep here? You're going to have to kiss me on the mouth. Come here.
Hey, whatever makes them build that chemistry for the games, in game is what matters.
You are a Hall of Fame quarterback, Tom. If you say this works, I guess.
When did he become Mike Tyson?
So on Antonio Brown, though, I have a question about the Bucs as a whole. This offseason, they bring in Tom Brady, they bring in Rob Gronkowski, and they bring in Leonard Fournette. Now they're bringing in Antonio Brown. We saw at the beginning of the season there were some meshing issues with this team. Is adding another piece going to solve an offense that already is a new look offense? Is it a dangerous addition? Maybe.
Yeah, I think what it means is, it's the dream team on paper. It's a perfect roster. You have to have a good system. It's all about people being in the right spot. It's all about chemistry. Coaching bad players could beat the most talented team in the world any day if they're in the right system. So I think what it is organization, not working well with each other. Chemistry needs to be better.
Is Bruce Arians not the answer?
He's not doing a good job. I think this is a lot on him, to be honest.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree. Yep. I've never been really a huge believer in Bruce Arians, to be quite honest.
I was. His offenses have been great in the past, in my opinion.
I don't know. I never really saw it, but let's get into the running backs real quick. So we got two fantasy relevant running backs, Ronald Jones II and Leonard Fournette. Rojo had a hot streak in the middle of the season where he had double-digit point games for about 3 weeks, and he had 25 against Green Bay. That happened while Leonard Fournette was out. When Leonard Fournette came back in, the carries were more split. He wasn't getting a lot of the passing work coming in. Leonard Fournette has kind of emerged as the pass-catching back. So I've got an interesting take with Leonard Fournette.
James was really upset
He
about
clearly,
what you just said, Joey. He's
left. About to be more upset. I think Leonard Fournette is the new, in this offense, is the new James White.
Isn't that weird that we see Leonard Fournette on the Jaguars? They talk about trying to improve his pass catching ability, and they're like, yeah, he's still not a pass catching back, but we're still going to try and involve him in that. To come to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they say he's our third down change of pace back, like, that's a huge flip to me. Like, I'm sorry, he does not strike me as a change of pace back. And from all the stuff we saw in Jacksonville, he didn't look like a change of pace back. So now all of a sudden, Bruce Arians is saying, oh, yeah, Fournette's our change of pace back. He's going to be our scat back that goes out there. Like, I don't buy it. I don't know what's happening with that. Yeah. I don't get it. Joey, I started looking up stats and numbers for both of these running backs, and then I realized something. I realized that it does not matter. When they are both healthy, they're only going to hurt each other's fantasy value. Yes, Ronald Jones had a great stretch, but that was when Leonard Fournette wasn't healthy. It's just not going to be great. Like, he had a fantastic stretch, but then you see Fournette come back and exactly, it's not sustainable. And you're going to be scratching your head every single week wondering which back's going to get the majority of work. Fournette, honestly, luckily, like, I know Ronald Jones has shown it to us, and Fournette's only had, like, glimpses this season. But Fournette being the change of pace back, I don't know, maybe that actually gives you a safer floor, him catching the ball. So, I don't know. It's so funny that you see all this talent at the wide receiver position, and then you're left kind of scratching your head wondering what's happening at the RB position for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the running backs are just not worthless, but pretty close to it in the system. And, yeah, I think the Bucs in real life should realize they're built as a pass-heavy team. You have some of the most talented pass catchers ever. I would lean into throwing the football more, kind of like a Kansas City type offense where it goes through Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't go through the running backs. It's Mahomes is your first option.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are upset about that who own Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell right now.
Mm-hmm. So I think we have a history. We've seen a history of Bruce Arians running backs not being super fantasy dependent too. And, people warned you about this season. Bruce Arians will say one thing and then, he'll start the next guy. He says Ronald Jones is going to be his feature back, and the next thing he brings in Leonard Fournette. And while Ronald Jones has kind of retained that for a little bit, Leonard Fournette was out. He was injured. When Leonard Fournette's back, it's more of an even split, or maybe an even split. But I think, the more relevant back out of here, Ronald Jones is currently the running back 13, and Fournette's 41. But I think I'd rather have Fournette.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, they're both just matchup based. I'm not going to be throwing it in my lineup unless I see a good matchup coming up. So it's just a toss up each week. We want to move on tight ends.
Yeah.
or tight end, I
Kind
guess.
of already talked about him. If you guys just want to touch on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about Cameron Brate, Joey.
Nah.
I know you included Cameron Brate there, but
It's only if
and then we
Gronk
said
goes
delete
down.
him.
Delete him from your fantasy team.
Hold up. Oh, where's OJ Howard? Oh, he's injured. Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, Gronk, he's got an obvious connection with Tom Brady. He had a hot.
Obvious.
What's interesting though is he had a pretty hot streak against three bad matchups against tight ends. I think the Giants, the Bears, and there was another game I can't remember. But yeah, it's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. A lot of mouths to feed. With wide receivers, Scotty Miller and Ty Johnson, they're kind of phased out. I think with Antonio Brown now. Do you guys think the same thing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd actually, if I were a QB, I'd be surprised if I even threw the ball their way.
You're
Just
still on
because,
this
like,
team?
if you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, or Antonio Brown, like, I am not looking to anybody else.
It's weird because, in any other offense, Antonio Brown would be like the number one option. But with this Bucs offense of Evans and Godwin, is he really the number 3? Is he the number 2? Who knows?
He got a lot of. They used him a lot more than I thought they would.
I think after seeing how much they used him, and especially in a down game, like a game where they are trying to come back, like trying to pull themselves up from the bootstraps or bootlaces or whatever the saying is, they went to him a good bit more than I thought. Yeah, there you go. They went to him a good bit more than I thought. And once he assimilates into this offense and he's already building that chemistry with Tom Brady, I think he might actually be the number 1, which scares me to say that.
Yeah. He's definitely got a shot to do it. But hey, that's going to do it, I think, for today's episode.
Well, hold up. I want to bring something up about the defense, because some people might be scared about the defense. Well, you shouldn't be. They're good, okay? They're good if you didn't know. This season, they have only twice scored less than 5 points. And do you know who that was against? Last week, it was against the Saints. And week 1 against the Saints. Start them every other week.
Yeah. You're
There you go.
probably starting them.
So,
Yep.
in one sentence, how do you fix the Bucs?
I
You
think we all
throw
know
the
it.
ball.
Fire Bruce Arians.
Oh. Not even a year in. And it's go time.
Let's be real. Tom Brady coaches the team and plays for the team. That's simple.
I don't know if you go that far. I'd say you throw the ball a lot more. And, it was a game against the Saints that they faltered, and they faltered against the Saints in week 1. I think they're probably going to be fine in every other week. Yeah, I think you throw the ball more.
Yeah, I think it comes down to execution, making plays.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
football.
I think
The football.
Yes. They have to
You
score
catch
more
the
points.
ball,
I think,
you run the ball.
I think playing like vets, it's funny you see all of these vet players who are like star players, and yet we see AB running, I don't even know what route, not being on the same page with Brady. We see Brady under pressure, and he literally just lobs the ball 600 feet in the air to be intercepted. Like, that's a rookie mistake. We don't even see Justin Herbert doing that.
No.
So I think they need to play like vets. They are veteran players that are star players. They need to play like it. I think if they do that, they can honestly go to the Super Bowl and win it. But you have all this talent. If you're just going to waste it on, playing football like that, then whatever.
What a bunch of bums. Pick it up,
Whatever.
boys.
Exactly.
We know more than you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Fancy football coaches
Whatever.
and owners.
But that's going to do it for today's episode, our fantasy eval of the Bucs. And hey, leave a comment below on how you would fix the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they need fixing, if they don't need fixing, if they need to fire Bruce Arians, if they need to play like vets, whatever they need to do, leave a comment below on what you think. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to grow up, and be sure to get guffed. Bye.